Hello everyone, this is the Duke, and I'm bringing to you another game. I decided to take a little bit of time off because I did like 5 games on that Sunday, and I don't know, I've just been busy doing other things like work and, you know, IRL stuff, which stands for in real life if you didn't know. And IRL stuff sucks because, I mean, what's better than being in StarCraft? There's nothing better than the StarCraft world. Anyway, so the game I've got for you today, I believe this is, I think it's just a show match, a best of 1 show match. Maybe it happened on ladder, I'm not entirely sure. But as you can plainly see, it is Nestea versus DeMusliM. So let's get to it. The map is Shakuras Plateau. And spawning in the bottom left as the red Zerg, we have Nestea. Spawning in the bottom right as the blue Terran, we have EG.DeMusliM. I guess I should say IMNestea, but it's also LG-IMNestea. I don't know, that just seems so unnecessarily long. And plus I kind of have like this thing against LG as a company because I think they make crappy products. But I don't know. This really isn't the place for my opinions. Anyway, so I love Nestea. Even though he's in kind of a slump right now, he's still one of my favorite Zerg players. Easily my favorite Zerg player is Stefano, no question about it. But Nestea is like a very close second. I still think that Nestea is like amazing. I think he's just, I don't know. You know, when you don't win tournaments, I can imagine it's, especially like when you're a favored person to win tournaments, I can imagine that it's probably pretty psychologically demoralizing. But, and I think that one of these days Nestea will pull out of it. I know he will because he's freaking Nestea. And on the other hand, EG.DeMusliM, I used to think DeMusliM was a terrible player. I really, like, I didn't, okay, not that he's a terrible player, I didn't think he was like a great player. He was just another, you know, B-team pro player. But I saw him at Winter Arena, and man, he just had some incredible play. I became a fan of DeMusliM upon watching Winter Arena. So, I'm really excited about this game, because it's two of my recent favorite players going against each other. Now, let's talk about the game a little bit. It looks like DeMuslim's going for a proxy barracks, which is actually very conveniently out of the Overlord range of Nestea. He does not see this, so this is going to be a little bit of a surprise for DeMusliM, or I'm sorry, Nestea. Whereas on the other hand, Nestea is a little bit in the dark, and he doesn't know what's coming. He doesn't see that there aren't barracks here. He does see that there is no gas and that the orbital's finished. And generally when you see that, it means that there's either an expand or something funny is going on. And in this case, it's something funny. So DeMusliM is able to get the bunker down. I think that is within range of the hatchery. And he almost managed to snipe an Overlord there, which actually would have been pretty devastating. It would have set him back a good amount, especially this early in the game. Now, there are 4 barracks finished, 4 Marines, and they're going to be going for it a little bit. Looks like the bunker is going to go down, and man, this is just a horrible position. And it's absolutely within range of this hatchery here. And another bunker just finished on top of that. Now, spine crawlers are going down for DeMusliM, and there are, for Nestea. Wow, I gotta stop messing that up. So it looks like there are a bunch of lings out here. There's about 12 lings here, and there's 2 spine crawlers. He needs to be so careful with his spine crawler placement. See, just like that, spine crawlers actually outrange the bunker at that point with this. But at this point in time, like, there's enough SCVs here repairing this that it looks like he might take down the hatchery. He's got to be super careful here. There are a lot of workers, and you know what? I think he is going to manage to save this. Wow, just incredible. That could have been so bad for Nestea there. Now, it did cause a little bit of damage. It forced Nestea to, Nestea did lose all of his links. It did force him to produce these spine crawlers, which would have gone down anyways. It's just, at this early stage in the game, you really want to be droning as much as you can. So I think that enough damage was caused, especially, well, mostly economically, to Nestea here, especially because the hatchery is only down. The hatchery is down to 400 health. It is going to regenerate, of course, but he's just got to be so careful with his hatchery. If he loses his hatchery, he's going to be in a really bad position. Meanwhile, Nestea has managed to sneak some lings around. There are about 8 lings coming towards the base of DeMusliM here, which really, there's nothing to guard it. There's just supply depots and SCVs. Another barracks is about to go down. However, he is going to need to be able to, he's going to need to be so careful, and he's going to need to pull his SCVs in case Nestea decides to attack. So it looks like DeMusliM is choosing to pull back, at least for now, to defend his base, as there is nothing to defend his base with, except for supply depots. So really nice stutter step out of DeMusliM there, manages to pick off 3 lings and not even take a single point of damage to any of these Marines. And DeMusliM has all but abandoned this. He sent his barracks in just to see what's going on inside the base of Nestea, and he sees that there is no gas in the main. There is gas coming up in the natural, however, which he will see eventually, because barracks buildings take a long time to kill with queens, as it turns out, because buildings are armored. Queens do, what, 8 damage, so that's not bad. Definitely not bad. Now, it looks like DeMusliM's going to be poking up here with these couple of Marines, just seeing what's going on. Pulls back the damaged Marine, naturally. And he isn't going to be able to get in here. He's going to be able to pick off spare lings and spreading creep tumors if Nestea just isn't careful. So Nestea does have his expand down, and it looks like at this point in time he is just producing SCVs to get his main more saturated. And a second command center is going down for him as well as a double factory. So we are going to see a transition into a little bit of mech play here. Looks like Nestea managed to clean up some of those Marines. I think, yeah, all the creep tumors are down, and it looks like that DeMusliM got a scan in there and managed to kill all the creep tumors. So a little bit of a delay to his creeping there. Very nice play by DeMusliM. However, he's got to be careful not to lose his barracks, although a barracks is rather expendable. Now, Blue Flame is going down for DeMusliM, as well as double Hellions coming out here. Now, with the presence of this Spine Crawler here, it is going to be able to get off a good couple of hits. However, he doesn't really have anything else walling off here. And if he rushes in with enough Hellions, he actually could just run straight into the main, which isn't very defended at the moment. So it'll be interesting to see how DeMusliM plays this out. He does have his 2 Hellions. Blue Flame is about halfway finished, so I imagine we'll see a timing push as that's getting closer. This unfortunate barracks is going to burn down, but this barracks is going to live, I guess. Now, Nestea, God, I'm so sorry, guys. Nestea is going for a mainly nest, and the spire just went down, which until DeMusliM gets Thors, mutas could be a potentially huge problem. He does have 1 barrack still alive inside the main of Nestea, but it's about to start burning. This barracks is burning. It did burn down, actually. So it looks like DeMusliM is going the long way around with most of his Hellions. He's going to go straight through the middle and destroy that 1 ling in the middle. Now it does look like that Nestea does know that DeMusliM has Blue Flame, which is going to make it a little difficult for him to defend against this, especially with the incredible micro that DeMusliM has been showing as of recently. Now, Nestea does see that there is a triple factory going down. A armory is already finished, and there's also a for upgrades. So now it looks like Nestea trying to push out a little bit with this creep. DeMusliM is able to deny one of the creep tumors of Nestea and is able to inflict a little bit of damage on the Spine Crawler. However, this does prevent DeMusliM from rushing into Nestea's base, the rather undefended base. And it looks like that barracks finally went down. Now, DeMusliM, I don't think he knows about the Spire. I think he just suspects. He is going to be trying to push up here, and because these lings are on a hold position, which really isn't a good way for them to be, especially because these Hellions will just barbecue them. Now, there aren't mutas out in the field, which DeMusliM does see very obviously, because these mutas are chained to him. There is a Thor in DeMusliM's base, and he is getting turrets up almost everywhere. There are turrets guarding his mineral lines. There's turrets even guarding his factories and his armory. Now, so it looks like DeMusliM's going to be going focusing on heavy mech play, and this is actually really interesting. He's going for Terran building armor. Now, I think this upgrade is a little bit underutilized, because well, think about how much less effective that makes mutas. Because the turrets already have, the turrets have no armor, and that gives them +2, which means the mutas only do 7 damage per attack. So if you were to do mass repairs on your turrets, that would just make those mutas just that much less effective. So Nestea is securing his 3rd base at the moment. He is doing a little bit of long-distance mining, and looks like DeMusliM is going to be pushing out with these blue flame Hellions again, which are kind of a problem for Nestea at the moment because Nestea really only has Lings and some Banelings out. However, he's got to be super careful of these mutas. However, looks like the Hellions are a little bit faster than the mutas. Now there's 6 mutas here, and Nestea's pretty much transitioned away from mutas simply just because he does see Thors, and Thors just clean house against mutas. Some changelings tried to get in, but unfortunately DeMusliM's too smart for that, and the changelings are denied. Mutas are rushing out right now. However, there are these Thors here. There's 4 Thors, so if they get too close, those 4 Thors will just annihilate these mutas. Just do so much damage. So it looks like DeMusliM's trying to bait Nestea into attacking with his mutas and getting a little bit out of position and into the range of these Thors. Yeah, he does have a +1 vehicle weapons finish, and he's going for +2 right now, which is just going to make these Thors increasingly effective against mutas. Now, Nestea is focusing primarily on Lings right now, which I'm not sure if is exactly the best position, considering that there are quite a few blue flame Hellions here with the +1 upgrade, which makes them do 21 damage to Lings. So they already 2-shot Lings. Just with that many blue flames and not really a good spread of Lings, these Lings will just get annihilated. So it looks like Thor Hellion is going to be the chosen tech path for DeMusliM. Nestea is securing his 4th, which I think DeMusliM has to assume that this is where his 4th is going to be, simply just because all of his Lings were previously up here as he was baiting them away with his Hellions. It looks like DeMusliM is taking his 4th as well, which Nestea actually is going to scout, and DeMusliM is going to get a couple of hits off with these mutas. Unfortunately, Thors are just super slow units, and they just are really just, their pathing is just not very good. So he is going to be a little bit of a nuisance to this 3rd base. However, he is going to be able to get his turrets up, and the planetary is being created at the moment too, which will make Lings, which will force Nestea to just have to build insane amounts of Lings to even take down a planetary. So it looks like Nestea's going to be able to pick off a couple Hellions, well, until they fly into the Thors, that is. So some good baiting there from DeMusliM. And what's interesting to note is that they're both on 4 bases, which really, like as the Zerg, you just want to be ahead on 1 base. But at this point in time, Nestea's maxed. He's morphing a bunch of Banelings. He does have Roaches in his composition too, and there are quite a few Banelings here, which will actually do some pretty decent damage against these Thors. Now, it looks like DeMusliM is trying to sneak units in, so Nestea is forced to have to split his forces. And there are actually SCVs coming out too, and these SCVs will... Well, looks like DeMusliM's actually going to choose to pull back at this point in time. I think he does need tanks, really, to make this happen, but that's not going to stop Nestea, as Thor's running away is exactly where you want them to be. The Thors that are running away are not effective attacking units. So, some good Baneling hits. Baneling hits really reduce the health of almost all of Nestea, of almost all of DeMusliM's units. He did lose 2 or 3 Thors there. This Thor has just 80 health. This Thor is down to 166. I think that was a really good engagement for Nestea. He's once again maxed, and this time he's going heavy Roaches, as DeMusliM really isn't going to be in a position at this point in time to very quickly produce all these Thors. So DeMusliM is going for tanks, and the tanks will be great against further Baneling aggression, really just any Zerg unit, especially these Roaches. And these Roaches are +2 on attack. However, DeMusliM's forces are +2 and +1 for his vehicles. So these tanks will just be immensely effective against Roaches, especially with all of these Thors here. Now, it looks like Nestea's going to be going around. I think he's going to go straight for the 4th base, which is planetary, and he's got to be super careful because Nestea could get surrounded here by DeMusliM. And looks like Nestea is just going to go for the 4th base. DeMusliM looks like he is pulling back. No, he's not pulling back any of his forces yet, and there are just too many Roaches here to deal with. There are too many Roaches for that planetary to deal with. And he is going to lose all these rotates. Fortunately, rotates are a rather expendable unit as they are incredibly cheap. And Nestea is floating 4,000 minerals and over 1,000 gas. Which, at this point in time, well, gas is almost gone because his Greater Spire is finished. He does have 12 Corruptors on the way, so we are going to see a bunch of Broodlords. A stupid amount of Broodlords, as I would say. As I just did say, really. Now, DeMusliM is a little bit in the dark. He doesn't know about these Broodlords, obviously. He does know that there is a Spire, but you can't imagine that he knows much more than that. Or, well, you can imagine that he's probably suspecting at this point in time that there's going to be Broodlords, as Broodlord really is the most logical option against this mech army, as Thors are the only units that can shoot up, and Thors really are not that good against Broodlords. They don't do that much damage, because Broodlords are an armored unit. And yeah, armored is pretty good. These mutas are going to fly right into these Thors. And he is able to save this muta with 2 health. Very impressive. So both DeMusliM, Nestea's maxed, DeMusliM is almost maxed. And the first first Broodlord is on the way for Nestea. Now, DeMusliM, he does have quite a few starports, one of which has a reactor. The other 2 don't have any reactors. So he is prepared to get into position to produce. He is prepared to get into position to produce tons of Broodlords like he is right now. And here comes the siege rep. Fortunately, these investors are not going to be able to get very close, as there are Thors here too. However, this is one of the crucial moments, as there are 12 Broodlords coming out. Pretty awesome there. Gotta love those Broodlords. So here comes the big engagement. Now these Fungals are going to keep all the tanks in place, which really the tanks are, in my opinion, the tanks are kind of the more valuable unit at this point in time. Even though Nestea is largely transitioning away from ground forces, eventually what ends up happening is that in most games with Surge, these Broodlords come out. The Broodlords do a lot of damage. A lot of them might even die. And from that point in time, you just build Lings because it's going to force the Terran player to overproduce on Vikings. Now, 4 Vikings are coming out for DeMusliM, and there probably are going to be more queued up. But yeah, this is a great position for Nestea because the tanks are dead, and the tanks are really the only unit that prevents this from happening. See, this is what Terran players really should be afraid of, is the Banelings and the Lings that ensue right after Broodlord and Nestea. So DeMusliM does have Vikings here, and the Vikings they're actually picking off quite a few of the Broodlords, as the Corruptors, as Nestea forgot to micro back the Corruptors, and the Corruptors really just ran and just wrecked these Vikings. Now it does. Ling stream in, and they do force DeMusliM to lift up the orbital command. And looks like most of the Broodlords are actually dead. Almost all of them are. This one's down to just 1 health. This one's about to die. This one's at full health. However, there are more Thors here than this one Broodlord can deal with. So wow, that was just an absolutely incredible hold by DeMusliM. Was that not awesome? Because that was looking really scary for DeMusliM right there. There were so many Broodlords. I think there were 12 at one point in time, and his air units do even have +1 attack. So it looks like DeMuslim's going to be playing a little bit more defensively right now until he can get more Thors, more Vikings, and the such. Now, this is the stage that I was talking about after the Broodlord attack. Is like once you lose that many Broodlords, it's not you can't keep producing tons of Broodlords. You can't keep losing Broodlords and producing them, is what I'm trying to say. And that's the point in time where Zerg players start transitioning back into Ling, because there are going to be too many Vikings really to make Broodlords a viable option, especially because the Vikings are really good against Broodlords. They're incredible. They're just a good all-around anti-air unit. Corruptors are a great anti-air unit too. However, Corruptors are also expensive, and they have a pretty slow attack. So this marks the transition back into Ling Baneling, which is great against Thors. But again, this is a varied unit composition out of DeMusliM, as the Hellions will clean up any Lings, the tanks will clean up Lings. So it's just kind of an interesting metagame that we're watching right here. That that sort of hybrid between tier 3 or hive tech units and Lings, Ling Muta, well Ling Baneling, I'm sorry. Now more Broodlords are going to be sneaking up here. However, this is the problem with continuing with Broodlords. There are 9 Vikings here. These 9 Vikings won't be able to get too much closer than that because well, the Corruptors won't be able to get too much closer because the Thors will attack the Corruptors, and Thors are pretty decent against Corruptors. Not because Corruptors are like a light unit or anything. It's just because most people with their Corruptors, they tend to bunch up their Corruptors, and bunched up air units is exactly what you want to happen with Thors. The Muslim's ground force is awfully scary. They are 3-3 on attacks, and that's bad. Meanwhile, Nestea is 1-1 in the air. His ground units, they do have +1 armor and +3 attack. So Lings will be able to do a good amount of damage to Thors, especially if he got the Crackling upgrade, which, yeah, he didn't get that. Now, let's look at Nestea's force. Nestea's force is primarily Broodlords and Corruptors. He doesn't have very many Lings at the moment. He does have 90 drones. That's pretty impressive. There's a lot of drones happening. It looks like here's the big engagement. Now this is exactly what you don't want to do with the Corruptors. It's like the Thors are just going to do too much damage to the Corruptors, whereas the Vikings are going to be able to really just take down anything. Even this many Corruptors is kind of an issue. So the Muslim is flying back his Vikings, and the Vikings are going to start microing down these Corruptors. And yeah, he's just losing so many Corruptors at this point in time. The Broodlords are dead, and the Broodlords are really like that you absolutely cannot lose because it just costs so much to get Broodlords. So as of right now, the Muslim does control the sky. Looks like Nestea is producing about 39-40 roaches. As soon as these roaches even begin to get close, the Muslim's just going to siege up and just cause all kinds of damage. Now we've got a couple micro battles here. The Vikings are microing down the Corruptors, and the Thors are just cleaning up hardcore on the Corruptors. Now, the roaches actually have a really good concave on this force here. However, 3-3 Thors and 3-3 tanks are just too good against roaches. I think he really only lost about 1 Thor there. So this is looking really scary for Nestea at this point in time. He does have more roaches coming out. However, this mech army is just completely superior to Nestea's ground army at this point in time. Especially because Nestea is down a base. He still does have 2 bases that are kind of mining, and actually no, he has 3 bases that are mining. But this is just a super scary position for him to be in, especially because now these tanks are souped up, doing 65 damage per hit, doing so much damage against roaches. Even these roaches with their +2 armor, they're just not lasting long enough. They don't have the longevity to just keep fighting against this kind of force. And DeMusliM is still producing Hellions and tanks, so he is in a bit of a commanding position. Really nice surround there by Nestea. He's able to micro down the rest of his Thor force. The tanks fall too. So yeah, you know, okay, I gotta say, this game really is just going like all kinds of crazy back and forth. Because initially I thought Nestea was dead. I was pretty sure Nestea was just dead right there. I mean, I bet you guys were thinking it too. But it looks like, yeah, Nestea did have an engagement that completely favored him. The roaches were able to get in there and take down those incredibly expensive Thors, which at this point in time, DeMusliM really can't afford to lose those kinds of units. He does have this base that just went up, and he could just do a huge mule drop. Okay, I get it. So he moved his orbital over there. Now, I didn't talk about it, but these Vikings managed to land and killed a bunch of drones. Quite a few drones, actually. Let's look at, in terms of workers killed, they're actually even. That's pretty crazy. I'd say as far as like the game goes, they're actually even. Nestea is very heavily saturating this base right here. As far as income goes, they're about even, actually, in terms of harvesters and just overall mining effectiveness. So out of DeMusliM, we do see he is going still for Thors and Hellions. He does have a lot of tanks here, and these tanks will just eat up these roaches like crazy. It just won't even be a battle. And interestingly enough, a Raven is coming out. Now this Raven isn't going to be used, sadly, for PDDs or anything like that. It's mostly just going to be used to clean up creep, which is exactly what he needs right now as Nestea is making that transition back into ground forces. And he really needs the nap control that creep spread gives him. However, DeMusliM is hell-bent on making sure that he doesn't have it. So it looks like Nestea is going to be taking this base right here. And at this, he actually could just push up through these rocks and finish off this orbital command right here. As one orbital command down would actually be great for Nestea, as that's that many less mills. Now it looks like DeMusliM was able to land in here, and he did manage to deny all of this mining. He is just going to lift up. And back to work for these workers. This base is back up as well. And wow, DeMusliM is just killing it in income, as he did do that huge mill drop. Unfortunately, all those mills are now dead, and DeMusliM is back to just regular mining, which for him, regular mining is still pretty impressive. It's on par with Nestea. So we do see a bit of a stalemate here. Pretty much Nestea's force is entirely roaches. 30 roaches, 5 corruptors, and 4 infestors. Whereas DeMuslim's force is 20 siege tanks. Wow, that's funny. I laughed a little bit when I said that. 20 siege tanks, 16 Hellions, and 4 Thors, which is just way too much. He's actually maxed, where Nestea is not maxed. So it looks like these roaches are going to try and kill all these Hellions. They do manage to pick off one of them. However, at that point in time when Nestea decides, when DeMusliM decides that, you know what, it's time for me to push. It's going to be really bad. It's going to be really, really bad, especially once these 20 tanks siege up. They're just going to kill all of these roaches. It just won't even really be a competition. So currently at this point in time, Nestea's just sort of going back and forth like, what can I do? This is the situation that I hate, that situation of hopelessness, where you just like, you don't know what you can do. Because it's just like, I just don't have the mental stamina to keep going. Like this is, yeah, Nestea's in trouble. There's no question about it. There's so many tanks. He could just push through the tanks. He could even just use attack through the tanks and just clean up this force so easily. Especially because the Thors are going to move out first, as the Thors are the tank unit. And you just know that the Muslim he smells blood. He knows that Nestea is not really in a good position right now. And there are more Vikings on the way, as well as there are more Broodlords too. But there are just too many. There's just simply too many doors here for Nestea to deal with this. And DeMusliM causes the damage he wanted to cause. He destroyed this hatchery. He is going to be going to this hatchery, which is one of the more saturated hatcheries. And he's going to be sieging up his tanks. And yeah, here comes the tank massacre. Now, PDD down too. Very nice point of defense from making these corruptors virtually useless, especially against all these Thors. And there's just so many. There's even Vikings here to micro down these Broodlords. And you know, I'm pretty sure that's it. That's pretty much this game. And there's the GG. So I hope you guys liked that game. I loved it. That was so cool. TVZ is really interesting to watch because it's especially like from the Zerg player perspective, it's just cool to see that evolution of unit composition going from Baneling, adding in roaches, going to Broodlords, and then going back to the Baneling. It's just cool. And man, that was a cool animation too. Did you guys see that with the Broodlord? That was so cool. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed that game. Let me know what you thought in the comments. If you liked it, you disliked it, other comments, whatever. And thanks for watching.